5. Secret morning habits that add 10 years to your life. After 60. Sound of an alarm clock followed by a tired, painful groan. At 68, John used to wake up feeling every single one of his years. His joints ached, his energy was gone before he even had breakfast, and a thick mental fog felt like it had permanently settled in his head. He figured this was just what getting older was, that slow, unavoidable decline everyone talks about. So he accepted it. But what if I told you he stumbled upon 5 simple morning habits that didn't just ease his pain, but are closely linked by science to a longer, healthier life? These aren't complicated, they don't cost a fortune, and they don't take up your whole morning. They are small, deliberate actions backed by solid research that helped him start winding back his biological clock. Stay with me, and I'll walk you through exactly what he did, starting with the one simple change that completely transformed his energy in the very first week. This isn't just about feeling a little better, it's about fundamentally changing how you age. The first habit, the dawn of hydration. John's day used to begin with a slow shuffle to the coffee maker, his body creaking like an old floorboard. The first thing on his mind was caffeine. He needed a jolt just to get going. What he learned, though, was that after a long night's sleep, his body wasn't begging for a stimulant. It was crying out for water. It makes sense when you think about it. You've just gone a third of the day without a single drop of fluid. Your cells are thirsty, your joints are stiff, and your brain is running on fumes. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows a powerful link between staying hydrated and aging well. In fact, a 30-year study found that adults who were well hydrated were healthier, developed fewer chronic illnesses like heart and lung disease, and lived longer than those who didn't get enough fluids. Being even mildly dehydrated is a huge issue for older adults. It can make your blood thicker, forcing your heart to work harder. It dries out the cartilage that cushions your joints, which is a big reason for that morning stiffness and pain. And it messes with your thinking, bringing on that all-too-familiar brain fog. So John made a change that felt almost too simple. He started putting a big glass of water on his nightstand every single night. Before his feet even hit the floor, before he even thought about coffee, he'd sit up and drink that whole glass of water. Sometimes he'd squeeze in a slice of lemon for a little flavor and a vitamin C kick. The change wasn't just physical, it was instant. It was like he was giving his whole system a gentle shower from the inside out. His mind felt clearer in minutes. The groaning in his knees and back started to quiet down. Studies show that drinking water first thing in the morning can fire up your metabolism and help your body flush out toxins that built up overnight. This isn't a gimmick. It's just biology. You're giving your body the one thing it desperately needs to start its daily repair work. Before anything else, give yourself the gift of water. The second habit, gentle movement to defy stiffness. With his body hydrated, John took on his next morning enemy, that deep physical stiffness that made getting out of bed feel like climbing a mountain. He used to think he just had to power through the pain, but he learned the real secret wasn't about pushing hard. It was about moving smart. He adopted a simple habit, 5 to 10 minutes of gentle morning movement. This is not a workout. It's about waking up your body with slow, intentional motion. And here's why it's so powerful. Research suggests that gentle exercise before you eat can trigger a process called autophagy. You can think of autophagy as your body's personal cleaning crew. It's a system where your cells find and toss out old, damaged parts like faulty proteins that cause inflammation and disease. A study from the Mayo Clinic even showed that older adults who stay physically active can slow down the buildup of these junk senescent cells that are tied to age-related problems. Moving your body first thing in the morning tells this cleanup process to get to work, which helps reduce inflammation and lubricate your joints for the day. John's routine couldn't have been simpler. While standing by his bed, he'd start by slowly rotating his ankles 10 times each way. Then he'd move up to his knees, hips, shoulders, wrists, and neck, just a simple sequence of joint rotations. On days he felt a little more energetic, he might do a few gentle yoga stretches or simply walk around his house for 5 minutes. The goal is to just move every joint through its range of motion. This gentle movement encourages the production of synovial fluid, which is your body's natural joint lubricant. It's like putting a drop of oil on a creaky hinge. Within a week of doing this, along with his hydration habit, John's chronic morning back pain was gone. He felt more fluid, flexible, and confident. He wasn't afraid of a sudden movement sending a jolt of pain through his body anymore. He was starting his day with freedom, not fear. The third habit, fueling for longevity. Now that he was hydrated and moving, John was ready for breakfast. And this became the third and maybe the most important change he made. For years, his breakfast was toast with jam or a bowl of sugary cereal. Sure, these foods gave him a quick burst of energy, but it was always followed by a hard crash an hour later. He was on a blood sugar roller coaster, and worse, he was starving his muscles of the one thing they were desperate for: protein. As we get older, we all naturally start to lose muscle mass. It's a condition called sarcopenia, and it's one of the biggest reasons for frailty, a loss of independence, and even a shorter lifespan. But it doesn't have to be that way. Research consistently shows that getting enough protein, especially with breakfast, is one of the best ways to fight muscle loss. Studies suggest that older adults should aim for about 25 to 30 grams of protein with each meal to really support their muscle health. Making breakfast your most protein-heavy meal of the day is a game changer. It keeps your blood sugar stable, which means no more energy crashes or junk food cravings later on. It gives your body the raw materials it needs to repair tissue and keep your muscles and bones strong. So John cleaned out his pantry. Gone were the sugary cereals and white bread. His new breakfasts were all built around protein. Some days that meant 3 scrambled eggs with a little spinach. Other days, it was a bowl of Greek yogurt, which can have over 20 grams of protein topped with some berries and a handful of nuts. If he was in a rush, he'd whip up a smoothie with a scoop of protein powder, a banana, and some almond milk. The difference was incredible. That mid-morning slump he'd felt for years, it was just gone. His energy was steady all day long. He felt stronger, and he noticed his workouts were more effective because his body finally had the fuel it needed to rebuild. He was literally building a stronger, more resilient body, one breakfast at a time. The fourth habit, the power of morning light. John was feeling physically better than he had in decades, but he still had one nagging problem: his sleep. He'd often jolt awake at 3 a.m., his mind racing, unable to fall back asleep. This is incredibly common for people over 60, and it's often because our body's master clock, our circadian rhythm, is out of whack. As we age, this internal clock can get a little weak and drift out of sync. That's why so many older adults get sleepy early in the evening, but then find themselves wide awake in the dead of night. The best tool to fix this is completely free morning sunlight. When natural light hits your eyes, specifically the blue light in the morning sun, it sends a direct signal to a part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That's a fancy name for your body's master clock. The light tells your brain to stop making melatonin, the sleep hormone, and to start producing cortisol, the get-up-and-go hormone. Getting that sunlight within the first hour of waking is key. It anchors your body's rhythm for the entire day. Not only does it make you feel more awake and alert in the morning, but it also cues your body to produce melatonin at the right time later that night, leading to much deeper, more restful sleep. This became John's new ritual. After his protein breakfast, he'd take his cup of tea and just sit on his porch for 10 or 15 minutes. And here's an important tip: he wouldn't wear sunglasses because they blocked the very light waves his eyes needed to get the signal. Even on a cloudy day, the ambient light outside is way more powerful than anything you have indoors. Within 2 weeks, his 3 a.m. wake-up calls stopped. He started sleeping all the way through the night and waking up feeling genuinely rested for the first time in years. This habit didn't just fix his sleep. It lifted his mood too, since sunlight helps your body make serotonin, the happy hormone. He just felt more positive, alert, and in control. The final habit, nourishing the mind. The last piece of John's transformation wasn't about his body, but his mind. His old morning routine started with a jolt of stress. He'd immediately turn on the news. He was instantly flooded with everything that was wrong with the world, which set an anxious tone for his whole day. The fifth habit is to start the day with 5 minutes of mental nourishment instead. This isn't about sitting perfectly still and meditating for an hour. It's just about consciously choosing a calm, positive input for your brain instead of a stressful one. Practicing mindfulness, whether it's through quiet reflection, a few deep breaths, or thinking about what you're grateful for, has been shown to lower stress and improve brain function in older adults. One review led by UCL researchers found that mindfulness offered a real benefit to executive function, things like focus and decision-making in adults over 60. John decided to trade the morning news for a simple gratitude journal. While his tea was steeping, he'd pull out a little notebook and write down 3 things he was grateful for. They were almost always small things: the taste of his tea, the sound of the birds outside, a nice chat he had with his daughter the day before. This one small act shifted his entire mental state. Instead of starting the day focused on the world's problems, he started it by noticing his own blessings. It created a sense of calm and positivity that he carried with him all day. He felt less anxious, less reactive, and mentally sharper. This simple practice of gratitude has been linked to lower blood pressure and a greater sense of fulfillment. John wasn't just on track to live longer, he was living with more peace and joy. So that's it. 5 simple habits. Hydrate right away. Move your body gently. Fuel up with protein. Get some morning sun. And start with a calm mind. None of these things are earth-shattering on their own. But when you start stacking them together day after day, they create this powerful synergy that can truly change your health for the better. John went from a man who felt every one of his 68 years to someone who felt vibrant, energetic, and years younger. He got rid of his joint pain, sharpened his mind, and started sleeping like he did when he was a teenager. This is what the research points to. These pillars of hydration, activity, nutrition, and stress management are the keys to a longer, healthier life. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. Pick one of these habits that feels easiest to you and just try it tomorrow morning. Just one. Then when you feel ready, you can add another. You have the power to write a brand new chapter for your health one morning at a time. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and maybe share it with someone you care about. Everyone deserves to know that it's never too late to feel your best. Thanks for watching, and here's to your health.